So this episode is going to be about Lori Vallow and other cases that are in the news right now. And I just want to start off by saying that I've met some really wonderful people, not met in person, but some really wonderful people come to this channel and leave wonderful comments underneath my videos. And, when you are dealing with true crime and you're dealing with the darkest of hearts, you kind of question whether or not there are any good people left in the world. And I think universally with this Lori Vallow case and the how barbaric it was, the crime, I think a lot of people like myself, we all feel the same way. We want to see justice and we want to see these people get their due, and we want to see these people locked away. And I just want to say, you don't have to always agree with my opinion. I'm more than happy to have people have different opinions than I do. You don't have to agree with me as long as you leave a comment that's respectful. It doesn't have to agree or align with my opinion. But some of you have left some really wonderful comments from all over the world. I've come across people from Australia, America, the UK, and other parts of the world, and sometimes I get a bad comment or a rude comment, or I get some spam comments. But generally speaking, the comments that you've left has been very, very encouraging and uplifting. And it's just wonderful, the connection that I feel with some of you already. As you know, I only started doing this a few weeks ago. I only started uploading a few weeks ago. So I'm basically new to all this and I'm just seeing what happens. But, this episode is basically going to be a true crime discussion. And I just want to touch base with you about, how I got started in true crime, how I became interested in true crime, and how I got involved with this Lori Vallow case. So basically, I was interested in true crime since I was probably about, I don't know, maybe about 13. And I think it started off with Jeffrey Dahmer. I was fascinated by that case. And at first, my main interest was about serial killers. I was always fascinated with serial killers. I know all the major ones, the Ted Bundys of the world, the Dahmers of the world, the BTKs of the world. I've always been interested in serial killers. But as I've gotten older, I'm now more interested in more domestic crimes. So like the Chris Watts case and the Lori Vallow case, which I consider to be domestic crimes. They're not serial killer crimes. And I want to say also, this channel is not about true crime. True crime is about 30% of this channel. 40% of it is about psychopathy and narcissism, and why people do the things that they do. And it's about human behavior and about personality traits and personality disorders. A big part of all of this involves true crime, but I'm not just a true crime channel. And obviously, I'm a brand new channel. Even though I joined this channel in 2011, I think it was, I didn't start uploading till May. So I'm brand new. But yeah, like I said, I got involved in I've been interested in true crime since I was a kid, a teenager, basically. And basically, most of the time, most of the things that I watch on weekends is I basically flick between true crime and cooking videos and cooking shows. So, but, I had no idea that I was going to become so involved in this case. And the Lori Vallow case just has everything. It has infidelity, it has religion, it has mystery, it has suspense. And I think that's why it's now the number one true crime story. Like I said, people are still talking about the what's. Only a small amount of true crime channels are focusing on the what's right now. Most of the major crime channels, they're talking about the Lori Vallow case. And I'm just amazed at how strongly people feel about this case because, I get messages from people giving me very, very long messages and very deep, insightful opinions about how they feel about this case. And never did I realize that this case was going to take off in the way it has. I first came to know about this case in February. I think that's when I watched the first episode of the Lori Vallow case on Dateline. I think, I'm not sure, and I don't remember the exact date. And I really only had a passing interest in the Lori Vallow case at first. There were just too many people to remember. You know, my head was hurting as they were going through, you know, all the different characters. You know, you got the dead husband, you got the dead wife, and you've got the brother, then you've got the niece, then you've got Melanie Gibbs, and you know, when it comes to a crime case, I like to kind of just hone in on a few names. You know, the Chris Watson case has basically 3 or 4 names, but there were so many people involved in this Lori Vallow case that I just was not interested at first. And I was still interested at that time, very interested in the Chris Watts case. I'm also interested in the Jennifer Doulos case, which has been solved. And I'm going to do an episode on Jennifer Doulos at some point. There's other cases that I'm interested in, but I'm seeing how things pan out with them before I decide to tell you whether or not I'm going to do an episode on those cases. But as time went on, I don't know when it really happened that I began to really focus on the Lori Vallow case, when I became really interested. I think it was after the Melanie Gibbs interview. I think that's when I started to become really interested in this case. Yeah, I think it was then. It was kind of like a false start for me. I really wasn't that interested before. And then after Melanie Gibbs did her interview, for some reason, I just became really interested in this case. And it's a really meaty crime case. I mean, the crime itself was awful. It's just an awful crime. I mean, I lay in bed scratching my head, wondering how this could have happened, how 2 normal people could have done this. It just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to make sense of everything. And it just is such a bizarre crime. It's such an unnecessary crime. And, you know, there's nothing in any of their backgrounds, even though Lori Vallow has an unstable background in the fact that she's been married 5 times and she's moved around a lot. That alone in itself doesn't necessarily mean that someone is going to go and commit a crime like this. And, you know, there's a presumption of innocence, but I have absolutely no doubt that these deaths, the deaths surrounding this couple, are not coincidental. And I have absolutely no doubt that she is fully involved in the death of her children. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I'm not completely happy with the way the investigation has gone. I think too much time was spent not doing much. You know, I don't think the police were as on point as they should have been. It took too long to find these kids. And for me, just me, you don't have to agree. It's just taking too long it's taken too long for these people to be charged with murder. If they're ever going to be charged with murder, I would have thought that they would have been charged with murder by now, because I know if I was in the same situation, 2 missing children were found in my backyard and I'd been lying about it for months. I know that the police in England, where I live, would have charged me with murder by now. So I'm very confused about that. I do think the police did a really good thing by going to Chad's property and searching it again. So that's one thing that they've done, which I think is excellent. I'm really, really happy about that. But for me, they should have been charged with murder or conspiracy to commit murder already. And I'm confused as to why that hasn't happened. I don't want this case to drag out. I don't want it to be going on for the next 2 years and nothing has happened and nothing's moved with the case. I would be very happy if they both pled guilty and they were just put away for life. I would be happy. And I'd also be happy to see a trial. The problem with a trial is that there's always the possibility that either one of them could get away with it. And I think Lori Vallow's gotten away with a great deal thus far. I think she really has gotten away with a great deal. I mean, first of all, her husband Charles, he was murdered. I mean, there's no question there. He was murdered. She got her brother to do that for her. Tammy Daybell, like I said, whatever the autopsy finds, I'm 100% certain that she didn't die of natural causes. Even if the autopsy result says that she died of natural causes, I believe that she was murdered. It's just too coincidental that they bought wedding bands 17 days before she died. The hit on Melanie Pawlowski's husband or ex-husband, Brandon, that was no accident. That was not a random stranger. That was planned. And I wouldn't be surprised if Melanie knew about it. You know, I'm not going to accuse her of anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if she knew about that hit. I think she knows a lot more than what she's saying. And a lot of people have it in for Melanie Gibb. I have absolutely nothing against Melanie Gibb. I don't think she did the right thing. I think she may have done some things wrong. I think she may have been gullible, but I don't think she has anything to do with this crime. And I don't think my anger and my frustration is not focused on her. And the more I think about this case, the more angry I get, you know, that these two people thought they could actually do this and then go to Hawaii and they thought they could get away with it, you know, completely. I mean, they have gotten away with a lot, that's for sure. But they really thought that they could hatch this plan to get rid of these kids and get rid of all these people. And they thought no one was going to suspect them. I mean, that to me just doesn't make sense at all. So, you know, there's something definitely bewildering about Chad and Lori as a team. This is abnormal, to say the least. Their behavior, what they did, how they did it, how they tried to lie, how they tried to evade. This is not normal. And like I said, there is nothing in any of their backgrounds to suggest that they're capable of doing what they've done. It just boggles my mind. It really boggles my mind how they really thought that they could do these things and then go and live it up in Hawaii, and no one would be questioning anything. It's one of the most bizarre, baffling, and extremely disturbing crimes that I've ever read about, ever researched, ever talked about. It really doesn't make any sense at all. It really doesn't. And, you know, I'm very angry. I mean, I'm very angry that they had the audacity to think that they could do this and get away with it. Like I said, it's the number one true crime case right now. It's the hottest true crime case. You know, I don't like putting it that way, but it really is. But I think because it involves all these elements. You know, you've got murder, you've got mystery, you've got infidelity, and then you've got the twisted religion. And it's just like nothing that I've ever. It's like nothing I've ever seen ever. And obviously we have this other true crime case in the media right now that's getting a lot of traction, and it's the Epstein case, which I am not that interested in. However, I might be talking about it in an upcoming episode. I'm not sure, because it's gaining a lot of traction right now. And this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her name right. She's just been arrested, and she was hiding out in this big mansion in America. And she seems to have had a lot to do with this Epstein scandal. But my interest in it is more to do with Prince Andrew, the royal family. I think he's a liar. I think he's a narcissist. I think he knows a lot more than what he claims to know. I think the interview that he gave some time ago, I think he just lied, basically. I just think he's a liar. And I think he needs to talk to the authorities. And I think he has a lot of questions to answer, because he told a lot of lies in that interview. And there are photographs that show that he was a lot more complicit in what was going on than he admits. So that's another true crime case really hotting up right now. And it will be interesting to see what happens with that. But it's not my focus. And another thing is that my channel is not going to be just about one crime case. Right now, I'm focused on the Lori Vallow case, but it's not the only crime case that I'm ever going to cover. And my channel is not only a crime channel. It's partly true crime. And the other part of it is about, human behavior, narcissism, psychopathy, personality disorders, personality traits, and things like that. Because that all feeds into true crime, and true crime feeds into that as well. So I just wanted to touch base with you and tell you how thankful I am for your comments, thankful I am for your interest, and you've watched so much of my videos already. I mean, you've clocked up like over 200 hours of watch time on my channel already, because I look at the analytics every day. And that's just amazing. And I want to thank you all. Like I said, I sometimes get spam. I sometimes get nasty comments. I don't mind that if you don't agree with me on something, that's absolutely fine. But for the most part, you've given me wonderful comments and some great food for thought. Okay? See you later. Until next time.